Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about Band in Bikini Bottom and Stanley's SquarePants. First, I'm going to talk about Band in Bikini Bottom. Enjoy! The episode begins with SpongeBob singing about Krabby Patties in the Krusty Krab kitchen. He then takes in a large amount of air and yells the next verse to his song out loud, knocking Squidward to the ground, along with cups he stacked in the shape of a pyramid. Soon after, a tour bus full of old ladies pulls up to the Krusty Krab. An elderly woman named Miss Gristlepuss enters the Krusty Krab with her accomplices, and being unhappy with what they see, they ban Krabby Patties. The Krusty Krab is closed down when Mr. Krabs, off-screen, was threatening Miss Gristlepuss with a French fry strainer and insulting her by calling her a disgusting old prune. Not knowing that her husband, Al, is the police chief. Mr. Krabs dwells on it for the next 4 days. Meanwhile, Plankton at first thinks Mr. Krabs has changed the name to the Closed Crab, but soon figures out he can take advantage of the moment and goes out to celebrate. Plankton soon discovers in surprise that the Krusty Krab has secretly been reopened at SpongeBob's house. Patrick, serving as a guard, asks Plankton for the password to enter, to which Plankton responds with a series of threats. Surprisingly enough, these threats constitute the password and Plankton is allowed in. While Mr. Krabs scans to make sure the area is clear of police officers, he goes to check on SpongeBob, who is afraid of getting arrested for making an illegal product. Mr. Krabs forces him to work, threatening to make him take weekends off. Plankton discovers Mr. Krabs is doing his regular business, under the table, and calls the cops. In the blink of an eye, they arrive to clean up the Krabby Patties and arrest the employees. However, Al is caught eating a Krabby Patty, and before Miss Gristlepuss could stop him, she trips on her loose shoelaces and a Krabby Patty drops into her mouth, instating her love for the burger and apologizing to the Krusty crew. She decides not to send SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs to jail and unbans Krabby Patties, also deciding to reopen the Krusty Krab. Once again, Plankton's plan has failed. He hides inside one of the Krabby Patties, only to be eaten by Miss Gristlepuss, as "The End" card is shown, followed by a gulping sound, ending the episode. Next, I'm going to talk about Stanley's SquarePants. Enjoy! The episode starts off at one sunny day. SpongeBob notices a package outside of his house. While carrying it, he states that it is heavy, and he places it on a table. He then opens the package, and the face of a sponge that looks a lot like SpongeBob is inside, and he says hello. Shocked, SpongeBob panics and jumps backward, and his cousin Stanley then comes out, whom SpongeBob recognizes immediately. They do a victory screech, and then SpongeBob asks him why he has come. Stanley produces a letter for SpongeBob from his Uncle Sherm, stating that Stanley can't hold a job because he destroys everything he touches, and he can't take it anymore. Hoping SpongeBob can deal with Stanley better, he sent Stanley to him. SpongeBob is happy to take Stanley in, and Stanley immediately rushes to the refrigerator, stating that Uncle Sherm never let him near the fridge. He then throws everything out of it and rushes to the bathroom. He causes the toilet to flood and then rushes to the television. However, he flicks through the channels too quickly and causes the television to explode. Stanley then admires pictures of SpongeBob working at the Krusty Krab, which SpongeBob says is his calling. Stanley is sad because he doesn't have a calling, and SpongeBob decides to see if Squidward can help him. Squidward gets scared because there are 2 SpongeBobs, and moves out, which only takes 10 seconds because he thinks that he is going to get annoyed. Next, SpongeBob takes Stanley to see Sandy. When he is about to shake her hand, he trips over a rock, and his buck teeth tear a hole in Sandy's suit, sending her flying upwards. SpongeBob then takes Stanley to see Patrick, and Patrick asks him if there is anything he is good at. Stanley says there is nothing he is good at, so Patrick decides to test how good he is at nothing. Patrick tells Stanley to clear his mind and do absolutely nothing, but Stanley just can't resist the urge to move, and yells that he can't do it, and Patrick tells him to leave. SpongeBob's watch then beeps, alerting him that it is time to go to work, and SpongeBob, temporarily forgetting Stanley's problem, puts on his hat and says Stanley has no idea how good it feels. This causes Stanley to start crying, and SpongeBob says maybe Stanley watching SpongeBob work will cheer him up. When they arrive at the Krusty Krab, Mr. Krabs sees Stanley, and is excited, as he believes this means there are two SpongeBobs. He asks SpongeBob if Stanley is a hard worker, and Stanley begs SpongeBob to say yes, so he does. Mr. Krabs then hires Stanley. SpongeBob shows Stanley the cash register, but the moment he touches it, it goes up in flames. Mr. Krabs smells the money burning and rushes to try and save it. Unable to do so, he asks SpongeBob who is responsible for burning the cash, and SpongeBob takes the blame for Stanley, causing Mr. Krabs to put SpongeBob on probation. When the first customer comes to the register, Stanley is excited, and takes many pictures of him and the customer, and then rushes off to get them developed, leaving a long line of customers angrily waiting at the register. SpongeBob sees this and frantically serves everyone in the line, making a mess of the kitchen as he does so. SpongeBob tries to tell Mr. Krabs about Stanley, but Mr. Krabs interrupts him, showing him all the people who were turned down for the job, so SpongeBob doesn't tell him. He then walks back into the kitchen to find that Stanley has broken Spat. Mr. Krabs walks in, and thinks SpongeBob broke Spat, and this makes SpongeBob furious and had enough, and he confesses to Mr. Krabs that Stanley broke Spat, and burned the cash register. Enraged and tired, SpongeBob reveals that he was covering for Stanley because he can't do anything right. Stanley starts crying, saying he ruins anything he touches, and Mr. Krabs gets an idea. He lets Stanley get a job at the Chum Bucket just so it gets destroyed, and Plankton initially believes Mr. Krabs was foolish. However, almost immediately Stanley explodes the Chum Bucket, and ends the episode by apologizing to his boss. And that is every episode of SpongeBob SquarePants Season 5 I talked about. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for Season 6. Coming June 1st. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.